Dear students, welcome to this next session. So in the last various sessions, we are talking of the various applications of operational amplifiers. In that series, today we'll be talking of sample and hold circuit as well as Schmitt trigger. So these are the resources used. So a book by Ramakant A. Gaikwad, Op-Amps and Linear Integrated Circuits. Second one is Sergio Franco, Design with Operational Amplifiers and Analog Integrated Circuits. So slides are based on these books. Firstly, we'll talk of sample and hold circuit. So the sample and hold circuit, as its name implies, samples an input signal and holds on to its last sampled value until the input is sampled again. So the figure shows a sample and hold circuit using an op-amp with eMOSFET. In this circuit, eMOSFET works as a switch that is controlled by sample and hold control voltage Vs, and the capacitor C serves as a storage element. So this circuit operates as follows. The analog input signal Vin is applied to the drain and sample and hold control voltage Vs is applied to the gate of eMOSFET. During the positive portion of Vs, the eMOSFET conducts and acts as a closed switch. This allows input voltage to charge capacitor C. In other words, the input voltage appears across C and in turn at the output. On the other hand, when Vs is 0, eMOSFET is off, that is non-conductive, and acts as an open switch. The only discharge path for the capacitor C is therefore through the op-amp. However, the input resistance of op-amp voltage follower is very high, hence the voltage across capacitor C is retained. So the period Ts of sample and hold control voltage Vs, during which the voltage across the capacitor is equal to the input voltage, are called sample periods. So you can see here in the figure, these are the sample periods, and in this periods MOSFET is on. The time period Th of Vs, during which the voltage across capacitor is constant, are called hold periods, and during these periods MOSFET is off. The output of op-amp is usually processed during hold period. So to obtain close approximation of the input waveform, the frequency of sample and hold control voltage must be significantly higher than the input. So as per the Nyquist criteria, this should be at least twice the maximum signal frequency. But for practical purposes, we take it up to 10 times the maximum signal frequency. So in critical applications, a precision or high speed op-amp is helpful. If we choose a low leakage capacitor such as Teflon or polythene, a significant reduction in size and improved performance can be achieved by using a specifically designed sample and hold IC such as LF398. So this is the input voltage which we have considered sinusoidal. So this is the Vs, that is the sample and hold control voltage, and this is the output waveform. So during the sample period, capacitor is charging, and while it is held, it will be held back at a point at which it was sampled. So this is normally considered in analog and digital converters, where we need to hold the input for a time interval so that it can be converted into the digital signal, whereby the input should not change during the duration by which we are considering the digital. So this is the functional circuit of LF398, which requires only an external storage capacitor. The sample and hold circuit is commonly used in digital interfacing and communication, such as analog to digital converter and pulse modulation systems. So this is the analog input, and this is the switch, which earlier we have used E-MOSFET. So here we have to connect the capacitor. This is the output. This is for offset minimization, and this is logical reference, which makes out Vs. So as already studied, we know that we have to hold the signal at the sample point so that it can be converted from analog to digital. So during the time of conversion, it should not change its value, so it is held there. That is the basic function of a sample and hold circuit. And here we have given a typical connection diagram using LF398, where an external capacitor is required only. Now we'll talk of Schmitt trigger. So this is a inverting comparator as Schmitt trigger. So inverting comparator with a positive feedback. So the circuit converts irregular shaped waveforms to square waves or pulses, and that is what is a Schmitt trigger or a scaring circuit. So the input voltage Vin triggers the change of state of the output voltage every time it exceeds certain voltage levels called the upper threshold VUT and the lower threshold VLT. These are as shown in the figure. Whenever the input crosses these threshold values, it changes the state. So these threshold voltages are obtained by using voltage divider R1, R2. where the voltage across R1 is fed back to the positive input. The voltage across R1 is a variable reference threshold voltage that depends upon the value and polarity of the output voltage. When the output voltage is plus Vsat, the voltage across R1 is called the upper threshold voltage VUT. The input Vin must be slightly more than the VUT in order to cause the output voltage V0 to switch from plus Vsat to minus Vsat. Now, as long as Vin is less than VUT, the output voltage is at plus Vsat. So, using the voltage divider rule, we can write VUT as R1 over R1 plus R2 into plus Vsat. On the other hand, when output voltage is minus Vsat, the voltage across R1 is VLT. So Vn must be slightly more than VLT in order to switch V0 from minus Vsat to plus Vsat. In other words, the input values greater than VLT, V0 is at minus Vsat. So this VLT can be given as R1 over R1 plus R2 into minus Vsat. Thus, if the threshold value VUT and VLT are made larger than the input noise voltages, the positive feedback will eliminate any false output transition. Also, the positive feedback, because of its regenerative action, will make V0 switch faster between plus Vsat and minus Vsat. So in this figure, the offset minimizing resistance is R1 in parallel to R2, and this is used to minimize the offset problems. This is inverting comparator as a Schmitt trigger. So the figure shows input and output waveforms of a Schmitt trigger. So output of Schmitt trigger is a square wave when the input is a sine wave. When the input is a triangular wave, the output of Schmitt trigger is a square wave again. Whereas if the input is sawtooth wave, the output will be pulse waveform. So you can see whenever it crosses VUT going up and VLT going down, it switches from plus Vsat to minus Vsat or minus Vsat to plus Vsat. So the comparator with positive feedback is said to exhibit hysteresis, a dead band condition, because it is not changing. So here in this plot we can see x-axis as the input voltage and y-axis as the output voltage, and this is the plot for hysteresis voltage. We can see when the input of comparator exceeds VUT, so here, then it switches from Vsat plus Vsat to minus Vsat, and when it input goes below minus VLT, then it switches from minus Vsat to plus Vsat. This is why we say it as hysteresis voltage. So this is, as we have earlier hysteresis loop, we have already know the graph. So the same way here we are getting hysteresis voltage, and this is of course the difference between VUT and VLT. So we can write VHY as R1 over R1 plus R2 into Vsat minus of minus Vsat. So this is how we consider the hysteresis voltage of Schmidt trigger. So in the next class we will be talking of another applications like clippers, clampers and so on.